Our top lead this evening. In 2012, he was the anti-drug crusader hell-bent on cleaning up Bollywood. He arrested Shah Rukh Khan's son Aryan, and then he summoned Bollywood's top stars like Deepika Padukone, Sara Ali Khan, Shraddha Kapoor to his office, accusing them of not just consuming drugs, but being part of drug cartels as well. Not a shred of evidence was found against Aryan Khan or anyone else, but their reputation was dragged through the mud. Today, karma caught up with Sameer Wankhede. The IRS officer has been booked by the CBI on corruption and extortion charges. The CBI says Wankhede, then the head of the NCB in Mumbai, demanded 25 crore rupees from Shah Rukh Khan to let off his son. The words used by the CBI in the FIR, and I quote, extortion by threat of acquisition. The CBI says Wankhede and his team conspired to extort money from Shah Rukh Khan. Raids are on at 29 locations associated with Sameer Wankhede as we speak. Along with him, 6 officials involved in the raids on board the Cordelia cruise have been booked as well. So in all, 7 people have been booked. The charges framed by the CBI are on the basis of a vigilance report that was filed by Wankhede's own department, former department, the NCB. In fact, the NCB had shunted the officer out and given Aryan Khan a clean chit, citing lack of evidence. Now, we need to remember that Aryan Khan was arrested from a cruise by Wankhede and his team, even though no drug was found on him. He had spent 22 days in jail. Today, CBI sources are saying the NCB probe into the Aryan Khan case was a sham. Let me repeat that. People who are probing the case, the CBI that is probing the case, sources within the CBI are saying that the entire case and probe against Aryan Khan was a sham. Essentially then, what some politicians in Mumbai were saying back then has turned out to be true. Wankhede was targeting celebrities, cooking up charges against them, and then extorting money from them. It is this institutional corruption that has eroded the credibility of our agencies. The reason why we all do an eye roll every time someone is either raided or arrested or questioned. Ladies and gentlemen, agencies are important tools in our governance. They are bodies that are supposed to keep the nation clean and honest. If they are compromised, then God help us. Let me go straight across to my colleague Bhavtosh, who is joining us on the broadcast. Bhavtosh, this is such a sensational twist to the Aryan Khan case. The 23-year-old spent 22 days in jail, not a shred of evidence found against him. And now it turns out that his arrest and the entire probe was a sham to extort money from India's biggest superstar, Shah Rukh Khan?
Yes, Shreya, in fact, those are the initial findings of CBI. Remember, this entire case is based on the probe that was carried out with the Vigilance Department of NCB, and NCB's Vigilance Department submitted a report to the center in November 2022, after which, looking into the gravity and the seriousness of the case, they handed over the investigation to the Central Bureau of Investigation, which is India's premier agency. The case, in fact, was marked to the AC3 unit, which is probably the most biggest unit of the CBI. CBI carried out its preliminary inquiry, and they have found that the entire Cordelia cruise drug investigation that was carried out by the then NCB unit was a sham. Those are the words that have been given to us by the sources within CBI. They have said that the manner in which NCB then zonal director carried out this probe, the whole idea was to extort money from Shah Rukh Khan. In fact, they have said that he, along with 2 others, including the superintendent officer who was in fact removed from the government services, and also Ashish Ranjan, who was then intelligence officer, they in fact carried out, conspired to extort money. Importantly, KP Gosavi, remember that viral photograph of a person along with Aryan Khan? they conspired and then they tried to extort money. Even there was an initial amount around 50 lakh rupees that was extorted from Shah Rukh Khan. And then there was no drugs that were found on Aryan Khan. And despite that, Aryan Khan was arrested. As you rightly said, he had to spend 22 days behind bar. He had to, in fact, engage services of some of the most prominent lawyers in the country. NCB also realized its mistake. They ordered a vigilance probe. Virtually that entire unit was disbanded. And NCB then ordered vigilance probe, submitted its report to the center, and center then ordered a CBI probe. The searches are still going on, but no arrests have been made so far.
All right, but is it reasonable to assume, Bhavtosh, that once searches are over and there are raids in 29 places, that there is a good chance that Mr. Sameer Wankhede, who's being accused of something as shameful as corruption and extortion, will be arrested as well once these raids are over?
Well, Shreya, he would be called in for questioning. He will be summoned and his statement will be recorded here in Delhi because this unit is based out of Delhi, along with Vish Vijay Singh and Ashish Ranjan. They all have recorded this statement time and again by the vigilance unit. KP Gosavi will also be called in, and Sanvil D'Souza, along with Shah Rukh Khan's manager as well as Aryan Khan. So you're not hearing the last of this probe, and this high-profile probe will be carried out by the AC3 unit of the CBI. CBI said that they have time and again gone through this entire 600 pages of NCB vigilance report, which was presented even to the MHA in a sealed cover, and then the government ordered a CBI probe.
Okay, we'll leave it there for the moment. Thank you very much. What a sensational twist to the entire Aryan Khan case. The hunter now becoming the hunted. Let me go straight across to my guests who are joining me this evening. B.V. Kumar is former NCB chief. Yashowardhan Azad is a former IPS officer. Khushbu Jain is a lawyer of the Supreme Court. And Clyde Crasto is the NCP spokesperson. Clyde, I have to say this then. NCP leaders, especially Nawab Malik, had been saying exactly this when the arrest had taken place and the probe was going on, that this is all a ploy to extort money, not just from Shah Rukh Khan, but other Bollywood stars as well. And turns out the politicians were right.
Exactly, Shreya. I mean, today I feel that we all stand vindicated. This is what we've been saying from day one. Mr. Nawab Malik has been saying this again and again while he was bringing out all the expose. I remember being on a few debates with you, and I think Kumar sir and Yasho sir were all there. And we were talking about this. You know, this all started the night when we saw that selfie by KP Gosavi, that he took a selfie and there were visuals of him dragging the so-called accused in the Cordelia cruise. And that's when we realized, press realized, that these are not NCB officers. These look like private people who are actually part of this whole thing. And then we questioned that how can a private person actually drag somebody who's alleged to be possessing some kind of drug or something like that and dragging them to the NCB office? How do they have access to this office? And those questions kept coming out and tumbling out of the closet. And that's when we questioned it all the time. And every single day questions were put forth. But at that time, everything was hushed up and put under the carpet. And then we raised this question. Earlier, Bhavtosh also said how film stars like Deepika Padukone and Shraddha Kapoor and Sara Ali Khan, they were all brought to the NCB offices, paraded there, but there was no end result. Even till today, those cases have no end result. So today, I think this has come out in the open, and the CBI has done a fantastic job of exposing this officer who actually goes on. The amount is huge, 25 crore rupees extortion. I mean, a lot of more questions need to be answered. A lot of things will come out. But I must tell you one thing, that we insisted. We kept saying, and this is not just us, it's because of a lot of people in the press also raised very valid questions on these. There was a section of the press who were saying this could be anywhere. A young boy was witch hunted. He had to spend precious years, precious days of his early years of his life in jail, which is not called for. And I think the best thing that can happen now is to, for the CBI to actually bring this to a conclusion, not like how the NCB did not bring anything to conclusion. But I think the best thing that the CBI can do now is to bring this to a proper conclusion and tell the country that there can be still some hope that we can have on all these agencies that are in our country.
There is a big question mark on the way our agencies function. And it is not just the NCB we are talking about. We are talking about the ED, the CBI, etc. as well. And I do believe that agencies, are part of governance in this country. They keep the country honest, or at least they're supposed to keep the country honest. And if they are compromised, then God save us all. And we'll come to that point in just a bit. But B.V. Kumar, you're a former NCB chief. What do you say to how things have played out in the Aryan Khan case? Here is an officer from the Narcotics Control Bureau who the CBI says conspired, not alone, but with his team, to extort money from Shah Rukh Khan.
I
And the
remember
boy
I came
on
on
whom not a single speck of drug was found was arrested for no rhyme or reason and kept in jail for 22 days.
Thank you, Shreya. One remark which was mentioned by you, that almost all the agencies are probably compromising their functions, may not be correct. One or two black sheep in an organization cannot tarnish the entire image of any of the organizations. You may name Enforcement Directorate, NCB, or the CBI. There are black sheep, but that doesn't mean the entire organization is bad. In this particular case, I particularly remember that even at that point of time in October 2nd, when the cruise ship landed, and subsequently when they October 3rd, when Aryan Khan was arrested along with others, then itself there was, I distinctly remember one lady mentioning that there was an offer of money to get Aryan Khan released or probably taken out of the case proceedings and things like that. That particular news item was mentioned even at that point of time, but nothing more came out. But I'm sure this must have been reflected in the investigation report internally done by the NCB being submitted to the government as to where the NCB went wrong in the total investigation. I'm sure that must be now in this particular case, CBI must have started the investigation under Section 17A of the Prevention of Corruption Act of 1988, and the previous approval of the government must have been taken since Sameer Wankhede is a 2008 Indian Revenue Service officer. And they must have gone through the report prepared by the NCB internally as part of their vigilance inquiry, and they must have found prima facie some evidence. And I'm sure they must have recorded the evidence of Shah Rukh Khan's family, because I'm told that about 50 lakhs have been reportedly paid by the Shah Rukh Khan's family to save Aryan Khan from these proceedings and other things. Well, this is a matter of detailed investigation by the CBI, and probably they are conducting further raids in 29 locations. Some further evidence may come out during the course of recording of this statement.
So that's the information we have as well. I just want to confirm, Mr. B.V. Kumar, I just want to confirm the information that you're putting out, that out of the 25 crore rupees that were demanded from Shah Rukh Khan and his family, 50 lakhs was actually paid. That is all that the CBI FIR is telling us, nothing beyond that. Khushbu Jain, I want you to come into the conversation as well. Look, fact is that this entire sham, and I'm not the one who's calling it a sham, just by the way. People who are probing this case, CBI officers who are probing this case, are calling the raids on Cordelia, the cruise ship, a sham, and the investigations or so-called investigations that followed a complete sham as well. Now, this sham had been going on for a while, right? First, there is the raid on Cordelia. For 2 days, we see high drama play out over it, given that it is Shah Rukh Khan's son who was arrested. Then there is an investigation. Then the matter comes to court, goes to court. The boy is put behind bars. For 22 days, an innocent boy spends time in jail. His reputation and the reputation of his entire family is dragged through the mud. My point is, yes, we can all argue that the NCB, on receiving various complaints against Sameer Wankhede, did do a vigilance inquiry and found him guilty on various charges and shunted him out. My point is, why did the NCP headquarters here in Delhi not step in if they could see that the way the investigation was being conducted was essentially a witch hunt? Because if it was clear to me, if it was clear to Nawab Malik, and if it was clear to half this country, and I'll only say half because the other half is blinded by I don't know what was the NCB headquarters doing here?
I absolutely agree with you. And it was not just, if I add on to your thing, the way investigation was done, it was completely sham. If you look into the aspect right from, the chronology of the incidents that have happened, if you look the way raid was done, first, second, the way things were being procured, like their phones were being procured illegally without a warrant. And then they were being, all the personal chats were being put out or leaked, again, hitting on, somebody's privacy and tarnishing his image. 22 days, no bail, just by giving some other excuses in the court that we are, we got this chat and we are getting more people and it is linking to something bigger and a full racket. And, those are the excuses which you kept on doing it. One has to understand that, if it's a sham or no sham, you did not follow the procedure. And a person who's exercising the power has to confer strictly within the parameters of the law, and their commitment to the rule of law shall remain steadfast. And any act of lawlessness by those who are custodians of the law is absolutely unacceptable. And coming on to the revelation of today's thing, that this was practically done to to do the harassment, it's still at the nascent stage to come to the conclusion on that aspect. But if it appears so, you have to look into the entire chronology right from start to end. It was a boy who went through hell for 22 days, and that impact is not with him. This news of today will not impact him because he has gone through that for 22 days and nothing can take back that. So I think it's high time that we have to come up maybe with a part where accountability, I'm again repeating, accountability remains the paramount aspect, because tarnishing somebody's image or somebody's think on the presumption leads to a real and substantial risk that can have a lifelong impact. And we have seen that what happened with the Aryan Khan and how things have gone through. And it's not just Aryan, there have been thousands of Aryan who have gone through that. They did not see the light of the media and other things, but this is happening. And that's where I think we have to draw the line, and we have to understand that the corruption poses a very serious threat to the society, and it has to be dealt with the iron hand. And when I say accountability and iron hand, there has to be an accountability that who's doing the investigation is also accountable when a sham investigation is being done or a procedure has not been followed with, and that accountability should come with the the serious punishment to those involved in those acts. Till the time that doesn't flow strictly, absolutely. I think we'll be keep on and on and on discussing.
Accountability has to be accountability has to be fixed, but that is not enough. Absolutely. Then you have to, just shunting out an officer is not enough. If he has put someone's innocent son in jail, forget if it's Shah Rukh Khan or anyone else. If he's put an innocent 22-year-old in jail for 22 days, the man needs to go to jail. And if he's done it to extort money from his superstar father, then maybe multiply that punishment 100 times over. Yashwardhan Azad, all through this, over the last 18 minutes, here's what I've been thinking. I've been thinking this was Shah Rukh Khan that Sameer Wankhede was dealing with, right? He's not just one of his richest men, forget that. He's also a very powerful celebrity. He's also a very respected celebrity. He's a man with a great degree of credibility. He had the means to hire the best lawyers in this country and get his son out. I'm thinking to myself, what if this was my son? What if this was the son of a middle-class, honest, tax-paying citizen?
Well, let me say at the very outset that I'm ashamed and disgusted at the behavior of the investigative agencies, rather, and this investigating officer in particular. It was quite apparent, Shreya, and we were debating those times of this particular case. And I must say that Clyde was one person who kept on insisting that this is an absolute zero case, whereas even somebody like me, I said, since the investigating officer has talked about international conspiracy, so let him take the remand for 3 days. But when after the remand, this fellow came up with zilch, that's the time when he should have apologized and left that person. But he went on creating a web and went on and on and on. And this was one of the biggest frauds which has been unleashed, I think, by the NCB. And I think Mr. B.V. Kumar, who's one of the most reputed heads of the NCB, must be dying in shame to look at this kind of investigations. Another important thing, Shreya, which you have mentioned is that, yes, if he was committing this sham, then what was happening to the headquarters? What were they doing? This is a very important part because supervision of cases, and especially important cases like this, where you're talking about international conspiracy, where you're catching people like Shah Rukh's son, obviously means that either you are so well armed with evidence that there is it's a 100% crack case, or it's something which really needs to be looked at because all procedures and protocols have been violated. And therefore, in this respect, I think I would blame the NCB completely. I'm very happy now that such a man, and we remember at that time, even Clyde and I were mentioning that this man is more interested in publicity. All the time he was appearing before the press.
Correct.
And there was more investigation leaks which were coming out, in the press rather than in actual briefings. So I think with people of this kind, when they have been extorting or trying to extort 25 crores, they should actually be dismissed. And of course, the Prevention of Corruption Act will be instituted against him. They must have got the necessary permissions and all that. But thank God, at least there'll be some kind of faith restored in the system that the agency can do something better. And the last point, Shreya, is I don't think even this is enough. For a man you innocently put in 22 days in jail, he should file a compensation, a fat compensation of, say, 100 crores against this man. And then they will actually learn. I'm sure it will be also awarded.
My own senses, and I don't know, Clyde, maybe you want to come in as someone who knows Shah Rukh Khan. I don't think that is something that Shah Rukh Khan or his family are going to do. They're just going to quietly sit and watch because, when the entire drama was playing out in front of television cameras, there were leaks after leaks, even chats with his friends like Ananya Pandey were being leaked and being given a sinister twist by many, many television channels. Shah Rukh Khan just kept quiet through it all. So I doubt he's putting a 100 crore defamation case against Sameer Wankhede. But this really is karma catching up, isn't it?
You know something, Shreya, I would like to tell you something. I think somebody mentioned that there are thousands of people out there who are probably going through this. And then you said something which is very emotional. You said it could be my son. It could be anybody's son. It could be anybody's child. Let me tell you one thing. There are people who have come to Mr. Nawab Malik and cried saying that, we are being pressurized. And what happens is this could be real now. Now I think it's real because there was a team of private army that this officer had. And he would sort of send a feeler to somebody that if you do not do this, I will put this kind of pressure on you and you will be put in jail for this. And the private army would go there and broker a deal saying that, listen, if you want to get out of this, if you don't want this allegation, you'll have to pay up something. These are the stories that we were hearing on the background. I'm telling you, Shreya, why I say this story is because I cannot corroborate. But now that I'm listening to all this, well, there seems to be some truth in that, because all these people may have not just come and said because of some kind of fancy. And people in the media also, there are some serious journalists who know their job, who are still serious journalists, came up to us and said that, listen, there is a private army out there operating where this officer sends these people there and said, if you do not listen to us and if you do not do a deal with us, we'll probably put an allegation. So I think the CBI now should look, and this looks like the tip of the iceberg. The CBI should now go and look into all these aspects, talk to many more people like that and see what the truth is. Probably they're still languishing in jail. Ask them what the truth is and why they have. And I think all the cases that have come through this officer needs to be thoroughly investigated, because I'm sure there are many innocents out there who are, sons of, some parents who are still crying as we speak right now.
B.V. Kumar, and therefore the last word to you on this discussion. You said these are only a few black sheep. Don't tarnish the entire institution. My agenda and aim is not to tarnish the entire institution or all agencies. My entire aim is to question them and question the way they function sometimes. Now, Mr. B.V. Kumar, you've heard all the panelists, and 4 of us have spoken. I'm counting myself in as a panelist as well in the story. Mr. B.V. Kumar, now tell me, if politicians in Mumbai are being told by private citizens that this guy has a private army to trap citizens and extort money from them. If the headquarters is seeing that what this guy is doing is blatantly wrong, he is not just calling in Aryan Khan, not just arresting him and his 3 friends, jabki not even a speck of drug, as I said, was found on Aryan Khan, but he calls a whole list of celebrities. Jo Manaya, Deepika Padukone, Rakul Preet Singh, Sara Ali Khan, Shraddha Kapoor, sabko bula liya. Everyone could see that what is happening is wrong. And yet the agency let him portray himself as this big anti-drug crusader. My point is, what was the NCB headquarter here in Delhi doing if they could see that this guy is not entirely honest? Because he's already been a controversial fellow. We know that. He's fudged his education certificate, his caste certificate, etc., etc. He's fudged his religion as well.
You made 2 very important points. The first thing is not only myself, Mr. Azad, and many other panelists at that point of time itself, in October 2021 itself, we clearly mentioned at that time that the whole case is a sham and Aryan should not have been arrested in the first place. Even after arrested, he should have been granted bail. The second point, which Mr. Azad has very clearly pointed out, the headquarters of the NCB was sleeping, or they were just ignoring what was happening in Bombay. And if the right person was there as the Director General of the NCB at that point of time, he should have sent immediately a team from the headquarters to find out what exactly is happening, whether there's any truth in the whole case and other things. I clearly mentioned in many of the channels at that time that Sameer Wankhede should shut up his mouth and stop the investigation. And in fact, some of the anchors that said probably you're using very strong language. Yes, because a thing like this should have never happened, because it brought a very bad reputation to the entire NCB, which in the initial stages was doing extremely good work and were basically concentrating on major cases having international ramifications, not catching a person who is having no drugs or just 5 grams or 2 grams and things like that. That is a very sad state of affairs. I'm sure I blame the headquarters at that point of time for allowing this man to run a riot in Bombay. And as Clyde pointed out, if he was really running a private army, that's a very, very serious offense.
He was running a scam, and someone in the NCB should have smelled that scam. Because if it's a scam, people are talking about it. If politicians were talking about it, there is no chance that the NCB didn't hear of it. We leave it there for the moment. Ladies and gentlemen, all I'll say as I wrap this debate is that karma never forgets an address. Important for us to remember in our personal lives and in our professional lives as well. B.V. Kumar, thank you very much for joining us. Yashovardhan Azad, good to have you on the show. Khushbu Jain, good to get your insight. And Clyde, thank you very much for being on Mirror Now as well.